Good morning. Welcome to the Real Biz Academy, aka Santa Mac Weekly Sales Training. Today is August the 4th, 11 a.m. Every Tuesday, we will have our live stream training. It's either going to be morning at 11 a.m. or it's going to be 8 p.m. in the evening. Welcome, everyone. If you are from another channel, if you are not part of the Santa Mac family, welcome you anyway. Oh, Elaine, good morning. All right. So, we got some new people here, so that's good. Today I got Feng Jiao, and then who else I got? I got Ying Mei, Maria. You're all welcome, and thank you so much for attending. Today I got four, but I scrapped one of the topics, which has to do with Skyslope fundamental. And by learning through the email that we are going to leave Skyslope sometime in the future because I find that Zipform has a lot more to offer. We save $500 a month from Skyslope by switching to the broker edition of Zipform, which not only gives me the ability to share templates and clauses and checklists with you guys. It also allows me to do transaction management right from where within Zipform is. That is a huge time saver that I wanted to share with you. Oh, welcome Mello as well. And welcome Sam, welcome Amanda, welcome Jennifer. All right. Uh, let's see. I got some background noise. Let me find out what's going on with the background noise. Maybe it's from Lily's side. All right, that's okay. So there are only three topics we're going to cover today. Of course, the first one is the most important one. We got to start with that one. And I think Lily Garpova is a good example of how a new agent can succeed in the industry. So, what are the do's and don'ts for new agents to become successful in real estate? And she's going to share her secret recipe with us today. And secondly, I'm going to talk about how to win friends and influence people. Being a good listener can get you listings. Okay, so that's something I want to share with you. Third thing I want to share with you, which probably is not going to take, thank you, Nick, for coming. Thank you, Mello. It's probably not going to take too much time. It's just an introduction. I want to briefly talk about Biden's tax reform, whether or not it's most likely it will be passed. But if it passes, the 1031 exchange law is going to be either eliminated or severely limited. Okay, so let's talk about that. That way we can find out what are the alternatives to still get some taxes deferred. What advice can we give our customer? Okay. All right, Lily, if you're ready, I'm ready to talk to you.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, good. Let's see here. You're right here. Okay, you're right here. Let me look for you. All right, Lily. Okay, the two of us. You
Mhm.
know, you've been with Santa Mac for how long now?
I think 7 or 6 years. I don't remember.
All right. How'd you learn about me?
Interesting. It's just I wanted to get my license. There were a lot of online classes, but I just Googled and find out that you teach actually in-house in Fremont in my city. So I just took your classes, and it was awesome just to come to your office.
All right. Thank you. That was the in the old office, the one on
Mhm.
Stevenson Place.
Yeah.
Back then, I still had a lot of energy to teach live classes. Nowadays, I don't teach live classes anymore. I use video for my teaching. It works just as well. Okay, by the
Yeah.
way, the videos work great. Now, when did you decide to make real estate a full time job?
So, the thing is, when I got my license, like since I got my license, right, then I wanted to be a full-time agent, but I didn't, like Usually people say, oh, if I'm going to be a realtor, I'm going to have so much free time. No, you're not. Actually, it's vice versa. Okay, so I mean, you don't.
Uh, did you did you want to become a real estate agent because you want to give more free time to yourself and your family?
Originally, maybe half of this was true, but then okay, I used to I used to work in IT a little bit for a while. And so, but previously I owned a property management business in Massachusetts, and I used to work with people, right? Like owners of the houses and so on. And I just felt that in IT is too boring for me, right? I need to
Hmm.
communicate with people. And then somebody told me, why don't you get your license? And I just, okay. So, and basically I got my license, and it just appears to be natural to me, right? I just love working with people. I do love working with people.
Even when you became a real estate agent, did you enjoy working with people?
Sometimes some moments they are uncomfortable, right? So, but there is always a comfort zone for people, right? But when you go over this comfort zone, you understand that every time, step by step, you become better and better, and there is nothing scary, right? Like, and people wait for your help. Actually, a lot of people really wait for your help, and in a lot of cases you have to be initiator of this, like help.
All right. As I recall, when you were attending my real estate live classes, the Lily back then, how different is the Lily back then and the Lily today compared?
Well, of course, for me, like at the beginning, it was very hard because I didn't have even one transaction, right? And when I had couple of my first transactions, right, and you helped me a lot with, like, so just after a couple transactions, I felt very confident. So I knew the process, I know how it's going, and I know every time in real estate there is something new. You learn a lot every day, even like like with my experience, I learn every day something new, which is insane. But yes, so much to learn every day. But like I was not so confident at the beginning because I didn't have my transactions. And now I'm okay.
All right, that's a very important question. As new
Mhm.
agents, confidence has always been a problem.
Mhm.
What was the turning point in your career in terms of confidence? What helped you build your confidence?
My first transaction, just one transaction or one listing or one sale, right? And that's enough. And because basically you have, after you do a couple of transactions, one on the listing side and one on a buyer side, you basically know like how it works, right? So I mean, like what needs to be done, and then that's it. You just have to be confident because you already run through transaction in, like, and I will tell you, every every transaction which I have, there is something new. There is always something new. Nothing is similar, right? If you did first transaction on a listing site and on a buyer side, that's enough to just jumpstart and be confident. Because if you think the next transaction is going to be something like scary, it's going to be the same, but going to be a little variation, and you solve the problem, go to the next one, going to be the same, just solve the problem, and you constantly learn something new.
All right, let me ask you this then.
Mhm.
Since getting your first transaction is key to overcoming the confidence problem, as a new agent, what do you think is the best way for them to get the first transaction?
So I think you have to be very genuine in helping people, right? So I do communicate with a lot of people, and every time, like on my chats, or even like not on real estate chats, but if somebody asks a question about real estate, anything about real estate, right? Doesn't matter if like sale or buy or anything. It can be like, hey, I'm living in this apartment, and there is like blah blah blah. And so I'm just looking up the answers for them, and I throw
Mhm.
it in the chat as an answer. So I'm just, like, because when I reply the questions, I either know the answer or I find out, like I read about it and I learn, right? In the process of, like I answer the question, but I learn. So, and then I give them reply. So, and people know me more and more as a realtor who ready to help. And even if it's not my transaction, some people called me actually, and they asked me, hey, we're in this situation, what we have to do. And like, I just try to help them. And then they send referrals to me, right? Even if the original transaction where I helped them, it wasn't my transaction, so it's a lot of ways to do. Just be active, be willing to help people, be genuine, right? Like if somebody asks anything about real estate, just send them like links from legal, like websites about, like anything from car or.
I remember when you first did your first initially, uh, you did some cold calls, correct?
Yes,
I gave you some numbers to call. Do you recall?
yes,
Do
yes,
you recall how you got your first listing?
I did. I got, yes, yes.
Or tell us about it.
Okay, so Kenny, he gave me a couple numbers. I mean, not couple. There was like maybe 50 numbers, and cold calling is not my strong point, right? Like, and again, I was going over my comfort zone because I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna make these calls. This is horrible, and probably they're gonna be mad at me that I'm calling. So okay, so I called maybe like 10 or 15 like 15 people. Five of them didn't, maybe, I mean, like on average, I don't remember already. Five didn't pick up. Then I don't know, like maybe five like of them been a little bit, like one of them maybe was rude, right? And five of them like just talked to me a little bit and they hang up, right? But one of them who picked up, he was very unconfident. He said that he had a Redfin agent coming to his house, and then Redfin agent didn't explain him anything, and I think they wanted to buy a property as is. Like Redfin agent didn't follow up with him actually. That's what I remember. And they said,
Ah,
yeah, they said his house is bad and it needs a lot of
yeah.
repair. So, and I told him, and I just, when I talked to him, and I told him, like, let me just come to your house. So, and he said, okay, come over. And I came to his house. And I said, your house looks great. I mean, like, yes, it needs repairs, but you have a huge lot. You have a beautiful layout. We're just gonna sell it, right? Like, I know the price which I'm gonna can get for you, but
Mhm.
you don't have to do remodeling. We just sell as is, but we're gonna aim to the certain price.
Yeah.
So, and yes, I got the listing. And actually, I wanted to add, I subscribed to one. I subscribed to one subscription where they give me phone numbers, emails, and address for the properties. Right, last year, 2 years ago, and like I paid, let's say maybe $300 a month. So, and these numbers come in, and you have to reply these numbers right away, right? So I called them. A lot of people didn't pick up, and one guy picked up, and he was very rude to me, right? He was like, "Oh, like he was like, yes and
Oh,
yes
that
and
was from a paid lead. It was basically a
yeah,
paid lead, right? But you
yeah,
converted it and then you sold that house, right?
yeah, in San Jose. So this guy, he was very rude to me. Honestly, he was rude, and I was upset about it. And I'm like, like, but I let my upset go because like besides one upset, there is like 10 people who literally happy that you contacted them, right? Like that you work with them. But this guy, he was rude to me, and then like, and I dropped it, and I was upset, and forget about it in a while. And then, like maybe 2 weeks later, he calls me and he says, "Can you come over to my house?" And I was like, okay. I didn't even remember who it was, right? So I came to his house and we talked, and like he said, I interviewed 5 agents before you, and you came, and like, I like how you came, because he was remodeling, right? And he was remodeling his house to LA style, like fences and lights, and I really loved it. I just came into his house and I was like, I love it, I love everything. So entering to his house, I said, like, I love this, I love this, this is like beneficial, this is amazing. When we've been in the kitchen, he said, like, I interviewed 5 people from San Jose, and they turn out to be like the best agents in San Jose. And so
Mhm.
far, you've been the one who is, like, don't try to price down my property a lot. And you're the one who love my work, like, who are very positive, right? And I just loved your energy. And then when you go, he didn't even try and negotiate my commission at all, like, even not a bit. He was actually, I certainly, if I would ask him more, he would pay me more. And he's like, and literally, it was from the guy who was really rude to me at the first conversation.
All right, let me ask you this. We want to go back to your first year because the first year is really key for many of our agents.
Yes,
Right. I remember having this conversation with you. His name was Joseph. So
yeah.
when you spoke to Joseph, there's one key element in the phone conversation that you did not mention, and I think it's worth mentioning
Mhm.
to the agents that are watching the show. And that is the same element that I use in all of my prospecting call. Remember, when you make a prospecting call, remember this word. The word also starts with an E, if you know what I'm talking about. You probably forgot already. I
E-
think the whole conversation turns on the word empathy. I
yes,
think if you
yes,
show empathy,
yes.
that goes a long way with your prospect. Tell us how you showed empathy in that phone conversation.
Well, because Joseph, I mean, like, my first seller, he was very upset, right? He called me. He said, like, "Oh, Redfin agent came, and then he left, and then so they didn't have money for the inspections." And
How
he
did you
said,
console him?
yeah, because he said my house is so bad. It's so bad. It's like it's like bathtub is leaking and that and that. And I say, wait a second, let me just come into your house, right? Like, and there is no bad house. Let me just come in, and I'm pretty sure it's just fine. Let me just come in and see it, right? And then I can tell you, like, if it's like, and then I came in and I said, like, your house is amazing. Like, it's, yes, it needs repairs, but it's not, because he was very down, right? Like,
Yeah, he
and
was down. He had a lot of credit card debt, so I think that's one of his
yes,
problems. Yeah.
yes, he was very down. I mean, like, basically, I had to talk to him for a while on the phone, uplifting a little bit.
I think uh, you when you show empathy by when we make phone calls
Hmm.
in any kind of sales, one of the best strategy of selling is to sell hope. If you can learn how to sell hope, you can sell a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And how did you sell hope to him?
Well, because I told him, like, I reassured him, I know, and it was my first listing, but I even before getting my license, I know the market, right? I know for what price properties can sell. So basically, I told him, like, we're gonna sell, we're gonna aim for this price. You don't need to do anything. We're just gonna do, like, sell as is. You don't need to do like moving furniture. You don't need to paint. Just let's do it, right? Like, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna sell. And so I just reassured him all the time, right? And he was like, okay, okay. And I told him, like, I always tell my clients, like, I'm honest agent, and I'm not going to take advantage of you, right? Like, this is what we're going to do. I actually had people coming in cash, like, much lower than asking price. And I told
Mhm.
Joseph, like, we're not accepting it because I know we can get higher. And we got higher, actually. So,
Okay.
yeah, and he just trusted me, like, I reassured him all the time. Mhm.
Okay. Uh, I think when we went to speak to him, two of us went
Mhm.
for the listing presentation. When we went to speak to him, he seemed to be rather lack of confidence.
Yes,
You
yes.
can you can sense the voice in his voice that he did not have confidence. So one of the
No.
things we did was to boost his confidence. Okay,
Yeah.
and we
Mhm.
went through the action plan about getting his property sold and
Mhm.
also finding the right home for you. We're talking about whether to buy in Hayward or Suisun or somewhere like that, so that we lay out all of those plans that can solve his problems. So
Mhm.
suddenly he became confident. I think you don't really want to talk down on a piece of property, even if you don't want to get the listing. You
Mhm.
see the property. Uh, the last thing you want to do is talk down on the property. Okay, you can save that part for after the listing is signed. Save that
Mhm.
part for after the listing is signed. After the listing is signed, you can slowly ease him about what needs to be done to get the
Mhm.
property sold. That's what you need to do. Okay,
Mhm.
it's you have to have that positive energy that you bring. Okay, if you
Mhm.
get a sense that hey, even you don't have confidence in selling my home, you're not gonna have a chance. Okay,
Yes.
so I think back then the market, you see, the market was going up, 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 up. Okay, back
Yeah.
then we thought, hey, you know what? This is a pretty hot market already. Now it's even more crazy than back then, right?
Yes. Now
All
it's
right, let's
insane.
uh, let's talk about your performance. I know your performance went up every year. First year, how many did you do?
I don't know. I don't remember. Maybe 10 or maybe less. I
I
don't
don't
know.
think you had
Five,
10 in your
five
first
or
year.
five, five maybe 5 or 7.
All right, and no, no, about five.
Five. I think
What about
five.
second year? What you did? What did you do?
I did 10 maybe. I don't know. I
Eight.
don't
You
remember.
probably did eight in the second year.
In the third is more, and then I
Third
know
is like
every.
what, 13?
Yeah, and I
And
don't remember.
then I think it was like 18 last year.
I think so. Yeah, last year definitely was 18. Mhm.
Did I ask you to double your goal every year?
You did, but I'm not. Like I put a goal to double it, but then, yes, I'm somehow right now it's not even like I'm searching for it. It's just coming to me. Like because
Eh,
referrals. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's
do you
basically.
feel like leads are coming from all directions right now?
Yes, and you know what? And my biggest like concern right now to give less attention to someone uh, for my reputation, right? So I'd rather, because my reputation is very important for me, right? Like if I'm gonna take somebody reaches me out, I'm trying to be always available, right? So that's the biggest concern for me right now. I want to take care of everyone and don't, like be available all the time as
Let me
well.
ask you this.
Mhm.
Do you spend any money on advertisement this year, 2021?
You know what, the advertisement which I spend on is my some of my videos, like, or seminar advertisements on Facebook. So basically, if I have a webinar coming up, I just put the advertisement on the Facebook, and it's not expensive, but it's really worth it. Then even if I do organize like I do organize webinars, not only about uh, me, like how to buy a property, but I'm organizer of, let's say, last time I organized a webinar with trust lawyer, right? Like who creates trust for the properties. So, and she, like I prepared it and I advertised it for her, but then it's advertisement for me, right? Like because I'm a basically organizer and everyone knows me in community as a real estate agent who organizes these events, everything connected to real estate.
Is there another agent that is doing the same thing you're doing in the Russian community?
In the Russian community, there is like some agents, they try to do what I do. And one of the agents, she actually uh, invests a lot, like in the video productions. Like each of her videos, like probably about $2,000, and she does like what's inspections and let's look at this. She invites inspector, does like the whole movie production. But like from each of her videos, I see like little points where she gets those from my seminars actually. So, and it's first it was annoying to me, but then I think like she goes her way, but my way is still like it's again about the genuinity, right? Like when I'm doing
Genuine,
my,
being genuine.
yeah, genuine, because when I'm doing my webinars, and yes, they don't have like movie production and like spending a lot of money. I think the more natural you are, it's better too, because she spends like the whole bunch of like money like to be like presented and like like it's the whole movie production, and people still reach out to me. So
Let me ask you this: before you became a real estate agent, have you ever done a single seminar?
no, I don't.
Mm.
I never did, and yes,
And you did initially. You did a few seminars with me, right?
yes, and actually it did give me confidence as well. Couple of seminars, because is again like you feel like very uncomfortable at the beginning. You just do first one, and then you understand that these people who are sitting in front of you, they really need help. Like they people reach out to me who have no idea how to what the process of buying, right? So and they do need help like this. The confidence you get, like first time you do it, and then second time you understand they all looking for help, and you just provide this help to them.
Of course, of course. That is one way of gaining confidence is to speak in front of the public. Then,
Yeah,
I mean, if you can speak in front of the public, you can speak in front of a small group of people,
yeah. So
right?
I'm getting, like I'm getting better and better actually speaking in public. I have no problem if somebody pulls me out and say like, let's do a webinar right now, like in a couple minutes. I'm just, okay, there's my slides and I'm ready to, because right now I have so many stories to tell from my experience. Like I can tell like what's the process of buying, what's selling, what to
Of
do.
course, of
So
course.
that's why I'm saying just do first two transactions, like listing and buying, and that's it. It's enough for you to have a confidence.
How's your mindset in your first year compared to your mindset now?
Mindset like on a goal or mindset on.
Mindset in terms of, usually the top producers, they have a certain mindset. I know one of them is a sense of urgency.
Yes, that's exactly what I do have. I do have sense of urgency, and I tell you why. That's a difference between. That's why people reach out to me. Number one, and that's why people work with me. Number two, and that's why like I always think you know I'm as an agent. When I call an agent and the agent doesn't pick up the phone, there is two reasons. He's a really bad agent. He's like part-time, or the agent who is really really busy, and he will call you back. He will definitely call you back in a couple hours, or he will reach you in a day. So
Yes.
that's why like you do have to pick up your phone all the time. And in I just like I explain you why, because sometimes the buyers like they will say okay, we'll work with you, blah blah blah, and then they go to open house and they text you or call you and say like, hey, we just see this property, we want to submit for it. And if you don't reply, I mean, what kind of agent you are, because you missing on opportunity to, first of all, you let them down and you let yourself down, right?
Yeah,
So
one thing I see one common trait amongst all the top producers, you, Gene Riley, Judy Shu, one thing in common, not just three of you. I mean, there were agents that left us in the past. They have something in common. their sense of urgency is very high level, at a very high level. If you get a, if you, I mean, here's your cell phone. I have to admit, uh, unless I really put myself at a higher level of sense of urgency, I don't pick up my cell phones as frequently, so I have missed calls. Okay, but if you want to be successful, how important for you to pick up calls and return phone calls?
Yes, it's very important. Like the people, basically, I tell you a story. Like I've been even, okay, I went for vacation with my family to Hawaii. So, and I said like, okay, that's a day when I'm vacationing, right? But then my clients who've been looking for 2 months in Denville, they reached out to me and said like, hey, we found a property, it just came on the market and we want to see it, right? From Ireland, I actually from Hawaii, I organized a showing, and actually Maria helped me to show it.
Hmm.
So, and then I called immediately the agent and I said, can we make it happen? Can we submit preemptive? And she says, yes, submit preemptive. So I negotiated with her right there, right, like right the same day. And I was like, with no Wi-Fi in a city, I had to drive back to submit my contract. I submitted, and we got in like within like 2 days on the market, right? So, and my clients are very they very they thank me a lot because I made it happen for them within 2 days, like being out, like not even like I've been like away, and even in my vacation they reached to me, and I didn't leave them, like, and they're very appreciative of that. So it's important, like if you can handle it, you just give it to someone who can handle it for you, and then but you can don't leave your clients hanging. Don't do that. Don't say like I'm leaving for vacation and then
Well, it's a job where of course you still have to balance it with your family life. That's important too. That's why one reason why I decided that we should have in-house TC to help the agents out, and you want competent help, and that's what we want. We want consistent help, and with in-house TC, we know exactly what we're getting. Okay, and that should help you out in terms of your time management. Now, quickly tell us how many transactions have you closed this year?
I think I'm aiming to
You've
20
already
right now.
closed how many?
I have to see. I think I'm aiming to do um maybe I'm closing like 15 or 16.
Okay, close to 20.
Hmm. Hmm.
All right. Okay, so that's a pretty good number. Well, for our agents anyway. Gene Riley is also doing very, very well. And I keep hearing the two of you talking about, I don't know where my leads are coming from. Now, when you have that kind of advantage, that is a huge advantage. Oftentimes, you don't know how people learn about you. You know, did you ever ask them how they learn about you?
You know what? Interesting. That's talking about vacations. Two people reached out to me recently saying, one of them, she said, like, so the couple, they said, like, you know what? We worked with an agent and she's just vacationing and we just don't like how, because she said she went to vacation and she didn't even call us. She asked uh, her assistant to email my husband and not both of us, and she said like I don't like how she handles it. She didn't even reach out to me personally, right? And
Yeah,
so they came, and another client came to me the same thing. She said like she's vacationing and I can't do it, like and we submitted recently with her as well because her agent is vacationing, right? Like,
got it.
so that's why I'm saying even if I'm on Hawaii, I am picking up my phone, but I run everything for my clients, like, but I will ask someone to handle something, but I'm going to be the point of contact all the time, right? Like I know one client today, they called me today at 7 a.m., right? And I just picked it up. My lender, he like reading letters which come at 5 a.m. and he's just waking up early, right? Like, so this is, we just in an industry where sometimes urgent move is actually very beneficial, right? Like sometimes they have you know, properties which might go fly from a market really fast, and you have to act fast. You can't just let it, you know, like, if they tell me, I, you know, like, if they will send me a property and I don't check on a property immediately, right, it might just fly from a market in the same day, right? So that's why you can't afford these chances, because they trust you. As soon as they
Yeah.
send address, that's it, you
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to act.
you gotta act quickly. That's no doubt about that. Well,
I do have.
finally, I appreciate all your valuable information that you're sharing with our agents. Finally, what advice would you give the new agents, because a lot of them are still struggling to get their first deal?
Oh, okay. So for the first agents, I would say talk to your friends, talk to your family, find your friends to do a first transaction. And I always tell, you know, like, just start being helpful to people, even if, you know, just be helpful, genuine, be genuine, just help them out, suggestions, some. So try to hold open houses. Yeah, like a lot of people right now, they, you know, like one agent reached out to me and he said like, can I hold your open house? I said like, whoa, 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 I'm going to hold my open house, and I have my company's, you know, like agents who can hold my open house, but this is my open house. So he reached out of from different company. And why he's doing it? Because holding open houses, during an open house, you stay in the house and you see people, you communicate constantly, you can you know, like reply questions, learn about people. A lot of people come into you and they say, can you represent me in this transaction? What do you say? You say, yes, I can represent you. Right? And then somebody agrees to represent you, you just reach out to me or to someone who is like agent more mature in a company, and I can help you to submit an offer, right? Like just even a little possibility, don't lose it. Hold open houses. Like, this is a way to stay at the open house, talk to people. Just a lot of people reach out to you and say, can I submit with you? Just try doing it. And so the other thing is to, yes, talk to your friends, talk to your family, and ask them like, please let me be your first transaction, you know, like, being this be my first transaction. And yes, do Kenny is a big support too. I mean, like, I always, when people ask me about my company, I say like, we're not big, but we have amazing team, right? Like, I'm not like Compass, where I try to reach my broker like multiple times and I can't reach him. My broker is like reachable all the time, and you know, like, he helps me all the time. I'm trying to sell my brokerage, okay? So, and I was like, no, it's true. It's true. It's very
Yeah, by
beneficial.
all means. I've been
It's
telling all of my agents, one of the best selling point, you have a broker who's an attorney,
yes.
okay? What better resource are you gonna find? Anytime you have a legal question, all you gotta do is to pick up the call and call Kenny. He'll answer your call, right?
Yes, yes, and this is a really big thing, you know, like a lot of it's a very beneficial, and I explain why I'm bad. I mean, like, my brokerage is bad. I'm just selling my brokerage literally. I sell like, because it's, I mean, like, my broker is attorney, and he's like with me always on the phone. I can always reach him in a day, and he can help me. So it's like, it's never going to be like in a big brokerage where you can't reach someone, right? So it's number one. And so you just have to be confident too, right? Like, even if you don't have first transaction, just try to be confident, just grab every chance to get this transaction, right?
Yeah, I
You
think a couple of years ago you did an open house for me in Walnut Creek. Didn't you help us find a buyer for that difficult to sell property?
Yes, and I tell, yes, and you know what? Honestly, this buyer came in, right? The buyer came into the house. We couldn't sell a house for a long time. Kenny was holding open houses, and then there was like, no, Michael, right? So we couldn't sell this house, and then the guy, like, this couple comes in, and they said, oh, we're working with this company and they're giving us rebate that much, right? So, and I told them, hey, listen, and I told them, like, I'm gonna match this rebate, submit with me. And you know why I did it? Because I knew they're gonna come down in price. So they wanted initially to submit a 980, right, or 960 for the house. And I told, so they decided to submit with me. We created an agreement, and then I told them, like, they said, like, oh, we want to submit at 960. And I said, like, no, 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 no. I said, like, the clients are not going to look at anything which is below 1 million, right? And they came up in price, and I sacrificed majority of my commission. I don't, like, sometimes when, especially, let me tell you, like, first transaction when you do, maybe you have to sacrifice your commission, okay? Because you just do first transaction, sacrifice some of your commission just to get this confidence, right? And then move on. And it's not that scary, honestly. Just, it's not scary. It's like, it's new, but you just overcome it.
Yeah, I know. Well, thank you so much for sharing the information. It's great to have you with us. I'm going to move on to the next topic. Thank
Okay.
you and stay with us.
Okay.
All
Thank you.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lily. And now let's move on to the next topic. The next topic is also a very important topic. It is called How to Win Friends and Influence People. I've been talking about this for a long, long time because there are some very important skills that you need to have in order to excel in sales. Today, we're going to talk about rule number 7. Be a good listener. Engage, encourage others to talk about themselves. That is a skill. Being a good listener, by the way, is a skill. Sales is about asking questions. It's not about doing talking all the time. If you talk all the time, you're gonna lose some of your audience. So you really, really have to uh, listen to people. An easy way to become a good conversationalist is to become a good listener. And this is coming from the book. An easy way to become a good conversationalist is to become a good listener. Okay. Exclusive attention to the person who is talking to you is very important. Nothing else is so flattering than that. I mean, you give the person time, let the person talk about whatever the person wants to talk about that is enjoy talking about, and paying full attention to that person while maintaining excellent eye contact with that person. Sigmund Freud, it's a very famous psychologist, and he knows, well, he has he's known to have, I'm missing an N here, is known to have soul penetrating gaze. That is soul penetrating. You can penetrate somebody's soul with your eye contact. That is a very powerful thing. Okay. Having great eye contact is definitely key. I want to share with you. Why is it that I was driving all over California, in places that you wouldn't dream to be there, but I was there. Been to sold homes in Patterson, got listing in Galt, close to Sacramento, and I got listing in Antioch, San Leandro, a lot of other places, Huntington Beach. Look, in many of these cities, I've never sold a single home. Now, when you go for listing presentations, probably one of the fears you have is people asking you, well, have you sold? How many homes have you sold? Have you sold homes in my city? You know what? When we were driving all over town, when I was working with Michael, given about 50 times. Probably we only had like twice that people ask us, have you sold homes in our city or in my neighborhood? We don't get asked. Why is it that we don't get asked? Because they trust us. When they trust you, they don't ask you questions like that. They don't ask you, have you sold homes in my city? They don't ask you, how many homes have you sold? They don't, usually when they ask you, it's because they don't trust you. The trust is not there enough, not enough yet. You get asked. Most of the time, me and Michael's experience, we get asked questions like that. We don't get the listing, so it's obvious. Trust is a big issue when they start asking. But what's the trick of not getting asked questions like that? Is to build trust early. And one of the skill is be a good listener. That's why when you go for a listing presentation, you don't keep talking and talking and talking and don't let people not have a chance to talk. You want to let the person be the person talking. You still want to ask your questions. I mean, you go through your script. Some of the initial questions will go something like, uh, you know, have you made up a decision to sell? Okay. Now, if you put it on the market, you want to price it to sell, or do you want to price the property to sit on the market for a long time? Most people will tell you, I want to price it to sell. They won't tell you I want to, price it so it stay on the market for a long time. That is actually a rhetorical question. Okay, but it makes people think though. See, when you ask questions, you make people think. So when they answer, you listen to them intently. So you got to listen to them. Don't just finish your script and not listen to the response. If you're there just to go through the script and not listen to response, you would have failed as a salesperson. I'll share with you my experience in Napa. When I got that listing, it was a for sale by owner. I called in the morning, made an appointment for 2 days later. Of course, in the phone conversation, I already influenced him. Okay, I already influenced him. See, one of the things that for sale by owner wanted is buyers. Do you have any buyers? My standard answer: of course, I have buyers. Okay, if you tell them you don't have buyers, that's pretty much the end of the conversation. Okay, you got to know what people want and give them what they want. So I got a chance. I got an appointment. So I arrived there, parked my car. It's a very nice home. It's right next to the bay, so it's right next to the waters. And my standard procedure, I usually ask the guy opens the door, smiling and everything. Okay, greeted me, and first thing I ask is, do you mind if I take a tour of your house? Now that's your opportunity to influence that person. As you're walking around the house, ask all the right questions so that the person thinks you're an expert. You want to ask, okay, how old is your roof? Where is your air conditioner? Okay, you want to go about asking questions about the homes. I mean, standard question. I don't have to teach you that. You know how to ask those questions. And by the time, because when we're talking and we're walking around the house, my eyes is like gazing at him. What the words that you see on the screen, the soul penetrating gaze. Okay, you can have that kind of eye contact. You can really influence the person. And okay, so I finished walking around the house. We sat down. I did a little bit of listing presentation, CMA, and all of that. But during the process, sometimes they get a sense. Hey, Kenny, are you here to look at my house or you're just trying to get my listing? Okay. That's okay. They will ask you. I've been asked this question before. I still get the listing. The one in San Leandro, I got the listing this way. And then she's kind of smiled. The one in San Leandro, she's kind of smiled at me and say, Kenny, I know what you're doing. I say, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. Can't her name? Her name is Shannon. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing, Shannon. I kind of laugh about that. But with this gentleman in Napa, I kind of let him talk because he's a talker. He loved to talk about his past experience as a realtor. He hasn't done any deal for a long time, but he wants us to talk about it. And he talked, when they open up, I mean, people usually don't like to talk about, the fact that they had a stroke. He was very freely telling me that. Okay, that's how comfortable he was talking to me because I was looking at him the whole time. And I ask question when it's appropriate to ask question, but I let him do most of the talking. If he's talking about his stroke, if you have some commonality that you can share with that person, talk about the commonality. Okay. I too had a stroke before, although it was a mild stroke, it was a stroke. So two stroke victims talking to each other, so we could carry on a very good conversation. By the time I was finished talking to him about his stroke and all of that, and then he said, to my surprise, I thought I didn't get the listing, but he said, "Hey Kenny, you know, uh, you know, do you mind if I call somebody?" He had to call his ex to get her blessing to sign a listing with me. Okay, so he called his ex and uh, got her blessing, and that's how I got the listing signed. So he opened up his computer, we did the DocuSign, got the listing signed, and after the meeting, he said to me, "Hey Kenny, I was thinking about going back to real estate. Can you help me?" Now, okay, now we're talking about trust there. Okay, the trust is it was really good, but this rapport thing it can diminish with time. I mean, you want to maintain that trust for a long, long time, but sometimes things don't go your way. It was a very difficult listing to sell, and then the pandemic came. That's how I lost that listing. But he wanted a price that was impossible, so I had a decision to make. I either had to walk away from the listing or just give it a shot. Held some open houses. I got one offer. Actually, it was accepted, and then the guy actually backed out because the pandemic was about to begin. It was unfortunate, but it was a great listing. That's how I get the listing. I got the listings a similar way for different cities like Patterson, Galt, all those weird places that you never heard of. I got listings. And the truth is, I never sold a single home. I never had a single transaction in any of those cities. Why is it that people don't ask me, hey, Kenny, have you sold any listings here? Because you want to avoid this situation because now you're being put on the defense. Of course, even if they ask me, that's an objection. I know how to handle the objection because I would have had my objection handled already. Now, if you ask me, hey, Kenny, have you sold any listing here? I'll tell you, I'm, I have not sold any listing here. However, local knowledge doesn't sell home, but resources do. All right, and then I start talking about resources. That's when you do the talking. You let the person do more talking than you do. That's how you sell. If you do most of the talking, that is not selling. Okay, so it's counterintuitive. You're supposed to let the other person do most of the talking. You just ask questions and ask intelligent and good questions that trigger the right thoughts in the person's mind, that trigger the trust that you can have from that person. That's what you want. Okay. All right. So I hope I shared some. All right. The opposite of that is if I really don't want a relationship with that person, I want to get rid of the person. If I want to alienate someone, the most effective way is to interrupt the hell out of that person while they're talking. That is the most effective. If you hate a person, You want to have that relationship. Keep interrupting that person. You know what? Very soon, in a few minutes, he will stop talking and walk away from you. Okay. So quit doing that. Don't become defensive. Handling an objection is not being defensive. Handling an objection is necessary so you can move on with the close. You see, often you give a presentation, you need to have a close. Sometimes you can't close a deal unless you know how to handle objection. So basically, an objection comes, the prospect just want to see how effective you are in meeting the objection. If you hesitate, you go the and the and shows lack of confidence, of course the person is not gonna trust you. But if you say it with such conviction, with a lot of confidence, uh, you usually get the listing signed anyway. I'll tell you about the one in the Patterson that I signed. There was actually, I was happy because there was actually an agent right in front of me. She did not sign with the agent, but she signed with me. Okay. I did sign, I did not give a lot of concession on the commission. I went from 6 to 4.5. You always start with a higher number. Never mind, don't be afraid of using a higher number. Because if you make a very effective listing presentation, your 6% is not going to scare them because if they find value in your listing presentation, you don't scare them with the 6%, they're fine. The only time they will question about the 6% is they don't find value in your services. Then they start questioning why you charging 6% while other people are charging 4. Okay, so I have even gotten 7% before. Okay, so that's what an effective listing presentation can do for you. You can get percentage because you make people see the kind of value you can bring them, and the way you do it is by being an effective communicator. All right, and I'll talk more about personal power in the future. If you got personal power, uh, you have it done. All those top producers that we have, they all have strong personal power. You got to build that personal power. If you can't meet objection with the right handler, you're not going to get it done. So you got to memorize your script, anticipate all of the objections, and then handle it one by one, and then close. Okay. All right, that's it for that. Now, since we run out of time, and since I don't have a lot to talk about opportunity zone, I will save it for another day's session for the training. Okay, and we certainly got a lot accomplished today. Opportunity zone is a topic deserves a lot of time, so I don't want to just brush over it. I prefer to do a more formal presentation on it because Biden, I'll briefly talk about Biden tax reform. Biden is planning to eliminate 1031 or restrict it. The restriction will be to restrict a maximum of $500,000 in capital gain that can be deferred in a single year. That puts a lot of limitations on some of our customers who wants to do 1031 exchanges. But the Biden never said anything about opportunity zone. Opportunity zone simply means that if you invest your money in areas that have been designated as opportunity zone, that is mainly to help out. Uh, that is mainly to help out uh, areas that really need economic stimulus. So it's similar to EB5, but EB5 is only limited to foreign investment. This is actually better than EB5 because this actually encourages even domestic investors to put money in areas that are depressed to help stimulate the economy in the area. And that is still around. You can actually still save or defer some capital gain by investing in opportunity zone. We'll talk more about that in the future. Okay. Uh, I apologize that we ran out of time today, but we certainly learned a lot from Lily, and I hope I shared some information with you that's going to help you with your sales. All right. Uh, till next Tuesday evening, At 8 p.m., we're going to have our Northern California market update Tuesday uh, evening next week. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.